It's bolder. They say it gets colder, but is it any better? This is the all-new Ninja Slushi Max, the new Ninja Slushi, just in time for the holidays and those cold winter months. So will the Ninja Slushi Max take off and replace the original Ninja Slushi, or will it meet the same fate as its doppelganger? Oh, the humanity. This is not the first update to the Ninja Slushi machine that we have seen since the Ninja Slushi first came out about 15 months ago, but it is the first major update. The Costco version featured a larger tank and 2 bubble cups, but it worked exactly the same. Seemingly the same parts, the same design, and the same exact user interface. But the new Ninja Slushi Max claims to work even better than the original, and this appears to be a completely new model. Here are some of the specs for this. You need a minimum of 24 ounces here, while the previous model was 16 ounces. It has a 112 ounce fill line that slushes up to 150 ounces, while the original had a 64 ounce fill line with a max of 88 ounces of output. The original claimed to create slushies up to 16% alcohol by volume, and the new one says up to 20%. There are other features built into this new model, like the Slush Assist, which claims to give you smart alerts when you need more water or more sugar. There are 5 presets and a dial that lets you increase or decrease the temperature. Now, a little more about the specs so far. The minimum amount you need for this new machine is more than the original. That's not an issue for me, as I'm never making just 16 ounces of slushie like the original called for. The max fill and the output are substantially larger in this model, up from 88 ounces to 150. Now that means the previous model you might get 8 to 9 smaller 10-ounce drinks, and the new Ninja Slushi Max will give you 15 per batch. Now, the reason the fill line is lower than the output number is as the slush freezes, it expands. And that expansion is because of the ice crystals, and also you're incorporating air into your mix. I'll not be diving too deep into all of the features of this new machine, but quite simply, I want to see if this machine really can slush a 20% ABV cocktail. That's 20% alcohol by volume, and the main reason I'm so interested to see if it works is because the original Ninja Slushi cannot do its advertised 16% ABV. I've tested that one extensively, as many of you have, and it will not work. I have tried and I have tried. Now, 20% in my opinion is too high. It's too much. You probably don't need to make cocktails like that. 13, maybe up to 18 is probably the sweet spot for me. But being able to slush up to 20% is huge because it means that it gets colder and it has more capabilities. So we'll test that as well as make a cocktail, a frozen paper plane slushie. Today's video is not sponsored by Ninja, but I did try. I called them, I emailed, I texted, I sent them TikToks, I even took a boombox to their headquarters in Needham, Massachusetts and stood outside, but they never responded. However, today's video is sponsored by Calypso Rum. Calypso Rum. You know it's good because there's a lady pirate on it. Calypso Rum. $10.99 for a full handle. How is that even possible? Seriously, how is that even possible? Calypso Rum. When you need lots of alcohol and don't care about your friends or family. Good to the very last drop. That was a joke. This video has no sponsor, and this is obviously bad from start to finish. But when one needs ABV, there's nothing quite better than Calypso Rum. I have covered the Ninja Slushi exhaustively. Seriously, I'm exhausted by talking about the Ninja Slushi or slushie machines in general. And if you're interested in learning more about the original machine, the Costco version, or a lot of its competitors, I have several other videos for you to check out on this channel, and I even have a second channel devoted to all things slushie, featuring recipes and even some pre-made mixes that I use. This review today will be pretty compact. I'll share with you some of the things that I like about this machine so far, some things that I don't care for, but ultimately, the thing I care about the most is this claim that it can slush cocktails up to 20% alcohol by volume, hence the large volume of Calypso Rum. The test I'm running today is very simple. It's cheap rum, sugar, and water. This machine also requires, or advertises that it requires, 4.5% sugar, and that's for 2 reasons. First, sugar helps depress the freezing point, but it's just a little bit, so a sugary water mix lowers our freezing point below that of water, which we want. But more importantly, sugar prevents the formation of large ice crystals. So while sugar makes something sweet and delicious, it's also creating the desirable texture that we want in a slushie. No sugar or too little, and your mix will form into blocks of ice, potentially damaging or breaking your machine. So don't try it. I have, and I almost broke mine. There are some sugar alternatives that can slush, but many of them simply cannot, so check first before you even try those. I made sure that my water and sugar mix hit the right bricks. That's percent sugar by weight before adding in my rum. My final batch here is 112 ounces and is exactly 20% alcohol by volume and 4.5% sugar. The new fill area is a big improvement to the original. In fact, the original that I have is out of warranty, and I just took some tin snips and removed that little inner guard. Not encouraging you to do that, but I did it. I set this to the spike slushy setting and then cranked the knob up to the coldest temperature. After about 20 minutes, not much had happened. This was room temperature water and rum, and it was getting colder but no slush. But at 33 minutes, it was starting to slush. Is this actually going to work? The texture was acceptable, and technically I think here I would say that this passed my test, but still not the ideal slush to have in a cocktail. And then at 48 minutes, I got the notification that it was slushed, and guess what? It freaking worked. Not only did this work, but it worked exceptionally well. You could probably go even higher with the alcohol here, even though you really shouldn't. So at 20% ABV and 4.5% sugar, it worked, and it worked great. And it slushed enough to where it wasn't even a close call. You could easily add more sugar or other liquids with solids like lime or lemon juice and slush this up to 20% ABV easily. So hats off to Ninja. They addressed the three main issues I'd had with my previous machine. It can do higher ABV slushies, and looks like they actually tested it themselves this time. It has a larger capacity to make more slushies, and the fill area is way better than it was before. Now, coming into this, I assumed that this test was going to work, mainly because if you look at the condenser and the auger here, they're just so much bigger than the original. That means more surface area, and they're obviously calibrated to get colder. Now, overall, the footprint is also bigger, somewhere between like 25 to 50% bigger than the original in all of the dimensions. It makes about as much noise and is about as easy or challenging to clean as every other slush machine. But they did fix that issue, or at least I think they did, in the back of the machine where the original tanks had these hard to clean creases where mold would form all the time. So all in all, this turns out to be just a great slushy machine. Now let's make a cocktail that we can drink from this thing. Let's make a paper plane. The original drink is from Sam Ross, and it's an equal parts drink of bourbon, Aperol, Amaro Nonino, and lemon juice. And I'm using lemon super juice for this. And Amaro Nonino is a little bit expensive. You might want to substitute in another Amaro, but my advice first would be to make this cocktail like the normal recipe, and I'll include that recipe in the description. Try that cocktail before you go ahead and make 150 ounces of it. I'll have recipes for a full batch in the description, as well as recipes for the original Ninja Slushi machine sizes as well. However, this will be about 16% alcohol by volume and about 11 bricks, and that probably, most assuredly, will not work in the original Ninja Slushi, so you will need to add water. And you will see that the amount of water I added in when I was making this is actually not enough. I had to add more water, but that was because I double-checked my recipe and I got it a little bit incorrect. So the recipe that is in the description will be the correct one, and it will definitely work in this machine or other slush machines that can do higher ABV. So there you go, a paper plane slushy. Let's try it. Cheers. The paper plane is considered a modern classic cocktail, and it has the familiarity of classic cocktails. And even though it's at 11% sugar, which ends up being pretty sweet, you're kind of at the same sweetness, or I should say not sweetness, but amount of sugar that you would get in something like a soda, like a Coca-Cola. It doesn't taste as sweet because the Aperol in there had some bitterness too. Bitterness is not dulled by the cold temperature, but sweetness is. So that's why in a cold drink, you want something that is sweeter than normal, so it still kind of cuts through. But this is a great example of what is an equal parts cocktail And you can taste everything going on here, from the bourbon to the nice tanginess you get from the lemon juice to our Amaro to the Aperol. So Aperol really comes through. If you don't like Aperol spritzes or drinks with Aperol or Campari, then this might not be for you. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit more classic and more of a simple flavor profile and not too over the top, and want to experience a modern classic cocktail, then this version of the Paper Plane is delicious. So there we go, a new Ninja Slushi machine yet again. And I don't plan on reviewing this machine anymore because all of the other smart features in here and new stuff going on, I'm just not that interested in. What's interesting to me is that this can do 20% alcohol by volume, and it has a big ass tank. It's way better than the original, better than the one they sell at Costco. And it's better, I guess it is better than maybe all of the other machines that I have tested so far, because it does the high ABV and it has a larger capacity tank than anything else by far. Now, at the time of me filming this, it retails for about $499, and I'll leave links to where I got it, which was from Amazon, in the description, and that's an affiliate link, and it may lead to a commission which would go to support this channel. That's $150 more than the original machine, and I think it's well worth it. I would not buy the original machine unless you are looking for less volume and plan to never make cocktails. So, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like below, consider subscribing to this channel, or subscribe to the Make and Drink Frozen channel if you want more frozen recipes. I have a Patreon page if you want to support this channel more. Otherwise, see you on the next one.